neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?
Hi, neighbor. I've just come back from a visit with a couple of very special gardeners, Rob and Michele. And they teach something really unique called permaculture. That's permaculture. Can you say that? Permaculture. Permaculture is about a way of living to help heal the earth. And in permaculture school, students call each other permies. So let's find out what permaculture can do to help the planet. Now, if we go into our neighborhood, we'll see that most yards have lots of grass and trees and flowers. And like permies, they don't like these dumb flower beds because they're just filled with useless flowers like petunias and snapdragons and these big black plastic borders around the outside. And all the neighbors are competing with one another because they like using chemicals to make their lawns greener than each other. But look down the road, there's a new garden starting to happen, and that's the permaculture garden. We'll go and take a look at that one, okay? Permies what you have a call is a food forest in their front yard. And if you remember walking in the forest with your parents, the ground's nice and soft, right? And so permies, they place lots of mulch on the ground to make it nice and soft. And then
what's happening?
So permies want to make it nice and soft, so they put the mulch down, right? So to make mulch, they take lots of leaves and straw and compost and newspapers. Now, permies don't like to read the newspapers, so they take them from their neighbor's recycling bin. They'll read Fast Forward and other artsy papers like that, but they don't like reading the normal ones. So after a couple of years, the mulch starts to make the soil nice and soft, because over here it was really hard with all this lawn on it. And so the permies like the soft grass, and they go out and walk in it with their bare feet, just like my hippie friends did back in the 60s. So Mr. Rogers likes to walk in his bare feet. Do you think you boys and girls would like to do that too? The other thing that permies like to do is have tea parties. But guess what they make their tea out of?
Flowers.
Compost. and they don't drink the tea, they spray it everywhere. Because that helps to start making lots of food for all the microbes and the worms, and they feed on the compost, and that makes the soil even softer, and that's what you call the closed loop system. And that's what helps repair the earth. So down here we have lots of trees in the forest, and they produce fruit and berries, and in some places they even grow nuts. And in and around all the trees are these plants that these people over here call weeds. But permies have a special name for their weeds, they call them. And this is their favorite term, they call them dynamic accumulators. Now, a dynamic accumulator goes way down into the soil and pulls up all the nutrients and the minerals and puts it up into its stalks and its leaves. then the permies, they get these big knives, like in the jungle safaris, called machetes. And they go out and they... You kids can do this at home. Now, they do something called the chop and drop. They chop the plants, and then they drop them on the ground, and that makes the mulch even better. And the microbes and the worms are even happier, and they poop more, and the plants get into the roots, or the roots get into the poop and the compost, and everybody's happy. So the permies have lots of strategies to harvest rainwater, because if there's one thing permies hate to do, it's use tap water. So they've got all these barrels and these fancy ditches, and then out in the country down the road where they've got more space, they have ponds. And guess what they put in the ponds?
Water.
Fish. So the fish poop in the water, and they use the water to irrigate the garden, and it's there again, they're even happier. But the nice thing is that when the permies have their special friends over for dinner, they can go out and catch a fish. And they didn't even have to go to the store to buy the food for their friends. That's pretty special, huh? So the other thing that permies really like to do is design and build solar greenhouses. And they grow their plants in them, but I think they really like to go out and just hang out in the hammock and read their books, because they've got this thing called the rocket ship heater. And it really heats it up super duper, and Rob's promised me to show me his at his place. So that's kind of it for the permaculture stuff, but because Mr. Rogers is pretty different, I'm used to having, I'm used to dealing with all of this stuff, and so I've got some advice for all of you permies on lifestyle choices. And so I know it's difficult if your parents are into permaculture, because they probably don't have the luxury cars and trucks and Hummers like these fancy kids at school over here. And so if they're razzing you and you're taking it personally, you tell them that next year your dad's going to get a chicken tractor, and it's really cool. Not just really cool, it's eco-cool. But if that doesn't work, no, I think I shouldn't really be saying this in front of you kids, but I might get in trouble, but you better tell your friends to look at their consumptive lifestyle. Can you say that? Can you say consumptive lifestyle?
Consumptive lifestyle.
Now, you tell them that their consumptive lifestyle is fucking over the planet. And that they better get their act together before it's too late. So you don't tell anyone Mr. Rogers told you that, because I'll get in even more trouble with your parents. So I want all of you to go to the library and get a book on permaculture and take an idea and put it in your yard, and together we can make a really cool neighborhood. So the last thing is that Mr. Rogers really likes to share things with his special friends. And so today I've brought some seeds from my garden. And this is a very special plant. It's a medicinal plant called calendula. Can you say that? Calendula? And they take the flowers from calendula and they press an oil out of it, and they make creams for babies and for girls and for sensitive guys like me. Now the nice thing is that you just take these seeds and you sprinkle them on the ground, and they don't really need a lot of attention. they do well on their own, and that kind of fits in with the no work motto in permaculture. And they'll, so you want to see them?
I might use that.
I might need some.
So you sprinkle these, and they'll put up some nice plants and some yellow and orange flowers, and they're really cheery. Oh, I like that word cheery. It makes me feel so nice. and you know what? In the end, they'll even produce some biomass for some more compost. So that's all today for Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.